Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And we love having our City Current charter partners come on, talking about their world and their heart for service. We're honored to be here with Jerry Carleton, principal with Immix Law Group. How are you doing, Jerry?
Good, Jeremy. How are you?
Doing very well. So you all indeed help us power the good. Let's start with your personal story. So give us a little bit of your personal story leading into Immix Law Group.
You bet. Yeah. And I actually have to take a step back to before I was even an attorney for Immix to make any sense or why I became an attorney to make any sense. So I actually went into business right out of undergrad. This was not part of a grand plan of mine. The good Lord works in mysterious ways. I had a college roommate that was born without legs. He had been using fake legs and crutches his whole life to walk. And by the time we got to our senior year of college, he had been prescribed to a wheelchair because the impact of walking on his crutches had just destroyed his shoulders. So the doctors told him double shoulder replacement surgery, wheelchair the rest of your life. And he said, no way. That he didn't want to accept that answer. He said, why can't we put a shock absorber in a crutch? That question started some friends prototyping. We grabbed some engineering buddies. Hey, do you have a capstone project yet? If not, can you help us prototype this thing? They said, yes. Move it forward, sit down, upon graduation. And he said, hey, it works. And this is for more than just me. So he was able to stay out of a wheelchair. He slides me this box of business cards that says Jerry Carleton, President and COO, Keen Crutches. And I look at him like he's crazy. I had other plans for myself and my future, but I got this head to toe spirit rush. And it was like my maker was saying, hey, this is what I have for you. So I said yes to that. And we started this durable medical equipment company in a dining room in North Portland, looking across each other. What do we do today? I don't know. What do you think we should do today? Let's call someone who knows. And we call people. And I like to tell people we had equal parts vision, passion, and naivete. And without all three, we would have been a total failure. We definitely needed the naivete to step into that industry. Well, fast forward to, we created this incredible company, and it was more than just one product. We got into dozens of products, thousands of SKUs, over 100 employees, operations on both coasts. I kept having frustrating experiences with attorneys. The attorneys would tell me what the law said, but not really how it applied to me, or there was just no concept of ROI. And lots of stories I could tell. And I don't mean to group all attorneys together. There are very good attorneys out there, but the ones I was working with had me very frustrated. And the straw that broke the camel's back, I got in a fight over $12,000. There was a contractor that I had paid $25,000, and I thought I didn't even get what I had paid for. So I let him go. He said, well, if you're going to let me go, I'm going to charge you the 12 I never charged you. I'm out. No, I'm not going to pay you another $12,000. I want my money back. So anyway, fight over $12,000. I get this attorney letter saying pay up or else. Whoa, that looks scary. Take it to my attorneys. What do I do? They tell me I'm legally correct and that I don't have to pay that bill. And fast forward to a deposition that's about to be happening. And I found out I had racked up a $14,000 bill at that point. I said, whoa, time out. My worst case scenario was 12. Why would I pay 14 when this thing isn't even over yet? And just that moment, again, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I thought, I have got to go to law school, find out what the attorneys know, and never have to rely on an attorney again. That pig-headed move led to a whole new calling, a whole new career for me. I went to law school by night while I was running our DME company by day. I watched these two worlds collide together, how business and law should work together and how they should empower each other, how the legal knowledge can actually empower business decisions. And it got me so excited. I hired him replacement to run our DME company and started practicing law. So went into big law for the first few years of practice, but then my wife and I actually got called to found Immix. And so Immix kicked off from there.
I think that's a cool storyline, both in terms of the purpose, the passion on one side, obviously leading you in that direction, and then the frustration that leads you into a new path. But the understanding that you come at it from a vantage point of a CEO who says, I need this to work and I need you to understand the challenges, the unique, ROI, like you're talking about, those nuances that a CEO looks at above and beyond just what does the written word say. And so I think the fact that you understand and come from that world really helps, but it also gives the context around how you're able to do what you do so well with the businesses, and your clients. And so Talk about your areas of focus with Immix Law Group.
Sure. Yeah. So we created Immix to be a law firm that's by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. So our attorneys actually also have different levels of business experience. We've got several attorneys that are like me that have launched their own companies from the ground up. We've got other attorneys that grew up in family business and worked for family business. We've got other attorneys that were in industry before they ever went to law school, and law has been a second career, kind of like myself. And so it is that ethos of bringing both to the table. I mean, Immix means to combine. And so we talk about the combination of business and law together in our everyday practice and how we advise. The to combine on Immix also, for full disclosure, is it's a combination of our personal and professional walks, so our faith journey and our profession, and seeing our profession as part of our faith journey. So a whole nother story there. But as far as our focus in our practice areas, it really is to be the place that entrepreneurs, business owners, families that own businesses can go, that they know both will be honored equally. So that involves corporate, transactional, securities, employment, intellectual property, sometimes immigration for certain clients, just for very special circumstances, estate planning as well. But these are areas where closely held business, family business, they need the help of a law firm, but again, a law firm that's going to keep business reality at the forefront. So we work in all those areas, but always with closely held business. Whenever our clients get larger than that or more diverse than that, we usually transition them to a place that's better equipped to help. We've had clients go public. The last one that had gone public went on the NASDAQ. It was a big success for them. It was wonderful for them. But I don't have anyone on my team that wants to write Ks and Qs. So we got them to a different law firm to do that work instead. And we're cheering them on.
When you're sitting down with a potential client and you're looking at their needs, it's one thing to come, if you have a lawsuit and a real challenge, but obviously what you want is to be ahead of all that and to help them. And so what are the things that you're looking at? What are the questions you like to ask? What are you kind of looking for that perfect fit?
Sure. Yeah. So I always start with why. And because you mentioned the lawsuit, something I'll just take the quick tangent to say, we also believe that lawsuits are rarely the answer. And I think that is a big part of business and law together. And quite sincerely, in most lawsuits, only the attorneys win. Even when you win, you lose. There's such a cost, and it's not just a financial cost, it's an emotional cost, it's a time cost, it's a time away from family. I mean, there's so much that goes into being in a dispute like that we rarely want to walk clients into a lawsuit. Instead, we try to find what is the solution short of that. Now, lawsuits will still happen, but even as we look at the makeup of our team, it kind of reflects our belief in this area. We've got 22 attorneys. 3 of them are litigators. The rest are transactional attorneys. So we do have incredible litigators. In fact, the head of our litigation department, Dana Christian, she's got over 200 trials under her belt. She's incredible at what she does, but she'll be the first to tell the client, hopefully we don't have to go there. If we do have to go there, this is what we're going to do. And she's very good at it. But can we find an exit ramp before that? And so, anytime we'll sometimes have clients come in that have been referred to us that are really excited about wanting to march on Rome. Here, let's bring this lawsuit. We'll say, wait, time out. Why? And let's really get into the why. And that goes to the broader answer to your question. I always find we need to understand why a client is seeking out legal in the first place, because so many times they actually don't need legal help. They need a different type of help instead. One of my favorite examples is a client will get a cease and desist letter on a trademark dispute. And that feels like a legal issue, and it can be a legal issue. If we slap on our legal blinders and say, okay, how's your trademark? And well, your trademark is better than theirs, so you're going to win, they're going to lose. However, a trademark dispute can be wildly expensive and distracting. This is going to be in federal court. This could take years. This could take $500,000 without breaking a sweat. Most clients can't be in a fight like that. So instead, we look at who's the opponent. Can they pay you to change your name, or should we have the conversation in the reverse? But can we find a business solution instead? So it really does start with the why.
Yeah, and it goes back to the entrepreneurial spirit, right? Is look for creative solutions to solve problems. Give us and that's kind of one of them, but give us maybe a fun story or a success story. You don't have to name the client, but give us something, either recent, current, that you've been working on, you and your team, that's kind of an illustration of how all this plays out.
Sure. Well, I'll give you one that speaks to the accountability we hold ourselves to on the why, and recent example, but it's been played out, many different verses of the same story over the years. Someone will come in and want a certain type of legal structure. I'll even zoom in on one where a client of ours had talked to his neighbor, and we do some complex estate planning at times when it makes sense to do it. And he said, "Hey, my neighbor has this certain type of trust, and I want one of those too." And I said, "Well, great. Why do you need one?" And he said, "Well, my neighbor has it." "Okay, well, tell me more." And so then I started to map out, this is what we use that trust structure for. Are any of these things true? And he thought about it and he said, "Well, no, none of those things are true." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm really stretching now. Are these things true? Can I put together a few?" And no, none of those things are true. I said, "Well, yeah, I'm going to stretch even more. I've used that trust structure for this certain situation. Any of these things true?" "No, none of those are true." So you don't need this trust, and when he walked in the door, I can say, "Well, great. Let me send you an engagement letter. Here's the budget to do that. Let's dive in and get started." But he didn't actually need it, and so I find, again, starting with the why really does help us know whether or not we should kick off this journey together, or if someone should call us back later. I also find it with brand new entrepreneurs, first-time entrepreneurs, never started a company before, just feeling like they need to launch a business. I'll always ask them why, and sometimes you'll get the answers that, in my opinion, are not the right reason to start a business. Say, "Well, I want to be my own boss and I want to work part-time." And I'll say, "Part-time? Wow, which 12 hours of the day are you thinking about working here? And do you understand working part-time, what that means from a responsibility perspective? And have you ever covered a payroll before?" And just start to ask questions to make sure they understand what this actually means to create something from nothing. My personal opinion, it's a special kind of crazy to create something from nothing. And so really you want to make sure you're aligned on knowing what you're kicking off and why you're doing it. The answer I love, and usually when we partner with first-time entrepreneurs right from the outset, is it's a calling, or this is on my heart, or I'm just going to itch until I can do this. Like there's just this intangible. There's this reason they have to do it. And it's usually they're coming from something that is good, that is secure, it's not that they have no options and they need to do this thing. It's in fact the opposite. This is going to take some risk. They're being called out onto the water. They're having to say yes to a calling on their lives. Those are the people. There's an answer deeper there than just a business plan that looks like it'll make money, or a problem they see they think they can solve intellectually. There's an emotional reason behind it. And so when the adversity comes up, we know that they're going to be there to bust through the adversity. I mean, it's not if, it's when something's going to be hard. I've never seen the easy startup. I just think it's a total myth. And in fact, I've seen the opposite over the years. It's so funny. Right when I started practicing, I had the aha moment of not realizing all entrepreneurs will not do whatever it takes to be successful. That some are either not there for the right reasons, or just don't have the fortitude, or, lots of reasons. But right when I started practicing, I put together, someone was pitching, they were putting together a business, and I was now in the lawyer seat, and I had put together them to talk to some potential investors, and they were investors I knew from raising money for my first company. And they get together and they have a conversation. It all goes wonderfully, and they kick off. And the first hurdle pops up for this business, not a dead end, no reason would it be something that the business should fail about, in my opinion. And they go, "Oh no, this is too hard," and they run back to their day jobs. Oh no, that didn't even register for me that could be a result. So I did learn, you start to test the metal, you start to test the why, you test the reasoning behind someone launching a company, because it's not for everybody.
When you look at all the changing complexities around legal updates, legislation, things along those lines, in the legal world, what has your attention right now? Either trends, things that could happen. What has your attention in the world of law?
Yeah, right now, the main thing that has my attention is our mergers and acquisitions practice. In this post-COVID world, the M&A activity has been through the roof. Right when the pandemic kicked off, there were a lot of transactions that happened, a lot of them in sad situations where companies, because of the reaction to the pandemic or how the pandemic was handled, there was a lot of companies that went out of business or were over leveraged and couldn't make it through the changes that were put upon them. And so we watched companies fail, and we did a lot of deals around failed companies. At the exact same time, there were the COVID preferred industries, if you will, tech, gaming, ed tech, pharma. There was these areas that excelled during COVID, and we were doing transactions at valuations that were just out of this world, that didn't even make sense in a pre-COVID environment. And so just the incredible amount of activity in the M&A world has really had my attention. And we've been watching to see, is it going to slow? Is it going to stop? Is there going to be some sort of change in the pace? And we haven't seen a change in the pace yet since this all kicked off. When interest rates started to move, we did see certain sizes of deals slow a bit, but we didn't see any slowdown in the smaller deals. Deals that are sub $5 million, those are usually SBA funded anyway, and so the exact interest rate doesn't have as much of a bearing on it. And the deals that are bigger, $50+ million deals, $100+ million deals, so much of private equity, they were just buying off their balance sheet instead of using debt. And so the interest rates moving didn't really slow those deals. It was the middle that slowed down a bit. But because there was so much action on either side of the spectrum, no slowdown in what we were doing. So it really has taken more of my day than has been the case in the past, just helping with our M&A practice, leading that M&A practice. For our size firm, we do more than 100 transactions a year, which for our size firm is a pretty incredible amount. But that comes from that thing we've been talking about, keeping business and law together, because we right size it to the deal. You can't have a tiny transaction have the same amount of energy put into it from a legal perspective as a massive transaction. And so it's making sure the client understands the risk reward of size and of legal approach, and then having a legal project that's right sized. I actually, end of last year, had the biggest delta in my career of closes on the same day, where on the exact same day, I had one deal closed that the total all-in value of the deal was $65,000. I had this tiny little company that was trading hands. The same day we closed a GovTech deal that was worth $143 million. And I had never had that big of a delta close on the same day. But I think it was a fun testament to our ability to right size to the size of the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Touch on faith. Obviously, that's been a theme throughout. And so talk about faith, what it means for you personally, but also tie it to Immix Law Group.
Sure. Well, it's something we talk about a lot internally, and it's even something that in our hiring process comes up. People that have joined our team have had the experience of what the team has nicknamed the Jerry throws Jesus on the table talk. Because it's something I talk about all the time. I'm so thankful to Jesus for my life, and that I'm alive, that we've had the level of success that we've had. So many things I could talk about that I've found it's disingenuous to try to subtract Jesus from the conversation. So even as we're looking to add people to the team, a conversation I need to have with them, and to be very clear, because of HR issues and employment law, I'm not trying to proselytize them. I'm not asking them what their faith is, but I need to explain to them my faith so that they don't get surprised, so that, they don't join our team. And then the next day we're in an all team meeting and I lead us in a prayer, or we have these fun traditions in our firm, of course, all voluntary, but, at the first of the month, we send out our bills. We love to pray for our clients, on that day as we send out our bills, and it's just a fun moment. We get to be thankful for them, but then pray for them and pray for their successes. And so all these things will come up as they're working for the company that, again, I just want them warned at the outset. But Immix only came into existence because Jesus asked us to do it. And so my wife and I was in big law at the time. I was in the wonderful position of having competing offers from firms. I had this innovative approach to the law, at least in the market that I was in, of combining business and law together. So even as a young attorney, had a very nice book of business. And so I was able to negotiate my way in any firm. But during that time, actually, is when Jesus asked us to open Immix instead, and spoke it to my wife first, who was praying for me while I was just negotiating with a firm, in fact. And she heard we're supposed to open this law firm. And so we leaned into that and did it. That was mid-March of 2011. We opened Immix on April 1st of 2011. It was a fun April Fool's joke. But even in the ethos of the place we've tried to infuse, this was our yes to a call. It's funny, on our business card, I'm going to show this to you. If you can see the abstracted circles there, that's actually meant to be an abstracted crown of thorns. And it's because to us, the crown of thorns, the cross, that is the ultimate example of something that made no earthly sense, but had all the heavenly impact in the world, all the spiritual impact of the world. Jesus didn't do anything wrong, and he died. He was killed for something he didn't do. And so for us, that yes is the ultimate example. And when we launched Immix, it didn't make any sense. It was in a down legal market. I had well-intentioned friends and family tell me, what are you doing? You've got a young child. You shouldn't be starting a law firm right now. but our yes has been rewarded incredibly. So it made no earthly sense, but made all the impact. And so even from day one that was part of our story, it's infused everywhere in this place.
Then it goes back to the other theme of the why, right? Is understanding the why you do what you do, why you started Immix Law Group. And I think that why is the power that then drives the success and empowers the good for you and your organization and obviously your family. And so wrap up with where we can go to learn more. So website, social media, where do we go to learn more about Immix Law Group?
That's right. Yeah. Immixlaw.com is the best place. You can read about our other attorneys, some of the other things we're involved in, some of the other practice areas we have. Our email addresses are up there. You'll find mine there, and just reaching out. Of course, I'm in the Nashville area. So if anyone wants to grab coffee, grab lunch, grab breakfast, that'll be fun. But then happy to plug you into other members of the team in other markets as well, if there's any interest.
Absolutely. Well, Jerry, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for your City Current partnership. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for creating City Current. Thank you for having a place that we can power the good together. Very exciting to be a part of it.